Hey guys, Imagine Create Destroy here. Super excited to be bringing you this video. Took a lot of time and effort to put this one together, but I think it came out really good in the end. So today's build is going to be inspired by a video I saw from Black Magic Craft. I'll link the video in the description just so y'all can check it out for yourselves. But yeah, I'm going to be building this sick golem for this wizard that I got at my local D&D store. Go ahead and get started here with the torso. I'm just gonna roughly shape it out, and I want this guy to be thicker than that, so we're just gonna go ahead and stack it up a few more high. I ended up going with 4 layers here. Now to get that beautiful rock-like texture, we're gonna carve him like a rock. So I was pretty random here with where I carved out, just taking chunks and bits and pieces, basically leaving none of the flat surfaces left here. Except for this part here, when I sculpted out his abs, I went full anime character with this part. Battle wounds, because nobody's perfect. And we'll move on to the back here, basically doing the same thing, just making sure there's no flat surfaces left. Alright, so I glued the first leg on and he was looking honestly a little funky, so I wanted to give it a little depth, kind of doing something a little different. So I decided to make him stepping up. On the actual base, I'm gonna make like a rock ledge that he's stepping onto, and we're just gonna clean up this ugly joint with a bunch of little boulders and stones. Go ahead and bless my boy on the back side here. Just gonna use some stones to kind of fill out the cheek area. Use them to fill out the gaps too between the leg and the body itself, just so you don't see those ugly gap lines. So my little wizard friend hanging out in the back here, he's actually the creator of this golem. He's using his magical powers to hold this whole thing together, and him, just like many of my fellow Americans, loves guns. So we're gonna go ahead and add a few cannons into this guy's arm here. I'm just using this old dude tube, cut it into a few pieces, and we're gonna glue that into the arm. We're just gonna do the same thing I did with the body, carve out the arm and make sure there's no flat surfaces left, make it look as rock-like as possible. This is actually one of my favorite bits, not quite my favorite. But I used all the spare pieces of XPS foam that I had left over, and I picked out the ones that kind of look like triangles, almost pyramids, and I stacked them alongside the guns here and just created kind of like a direction with the rocks. Once it was painted up, it looks really dope. Now the noggin on this boy really was giving me some trouble. I was trying to go with like a classic head, you know, eyes, mouth, nose, all those things. But they kept coming out really funky. So after looking at a lot of pictures online, I finally came across this one, and the head was actually like a medieval looking staircase entrance, and I was like, oh, that's really dope. So decided to go with that. It actually made everything a lot easier. It's just a square with an archway, and ended up cutting out some more foam here to make the stairs in the entrance. Just go ahead and make a quick template for the deck here. I made this out of balsa wood, and I'm going to use these little coffee stirring sticks to make the wood slats. Go ahead and cut off the rounded tips here just so they're flat on the end. And I ended up cutting these into randomly sized bits so it doesn't look so cohesive. It looks a little bit more random. And then we just glued it down with some watered down PVA glue. I ended up taking it off of the base here. It ended up being so flimsy that I just glued it right back onto the base to give it some support. And I hate waiting for things to dry, so I'll just go ahead and use this hair dryer to speed along this process. And on to my favorite part of the build. I'm going to go ahead and make a rock staircase leading from that platform down to another platform that I made. I'm going to finish up filling up these cracks and seams. For the bigger cracks here, I'm going to use some more boulders and rocks. For the smaller cracks, I'm going to use this modeling paste to fill in those seams. Even though this guy's a sick ass wizard, he still has a keen eye for a nice walnut stained deck. After that dries, I'm going to come through with some highlight colors. I'm going to work from the darkest to the brightest, and I'm just going to dry brush these on. Give this deck a little bit of life. The other deck I was talking about. We'll just do the same thing with the dry brushing there. Now I'm going to come through with the base coat of black mixed with Mod Podge. I just do one thick layer of this, making sure to coat everything on the model, including the cheeks there. Can't forget those. Now we're gonna base this whole thing in this tan by Craftsmart. This painting technique I actually used for the rock wall in the last build that I did. I got the idea from a Black Magic Craft video. I'll go ahead and link that one in the description too, just so y'all can check it out when you're done here. This one starts off with the tan, and then we're gonna go ahead and pick out some random rocks with some complementary colors that we have coming up next. And those colors are going to be this golden brown and this medium gray here. I'm going to mix those two colors together too, so I get a nice third color. I'm going to go ahead and just randomly paint that on like I said earlier, and we'll go ahead and get to the next step here in a second. Now for the dry brushing, I just do an initial dry brushing of suede, and then I came through with a white at the end just to kind of highlight the edges. And the final step for the rocks here, we're just going to finish up with a black wash, a brown wash, and then I'm going to highlight some areas with a green wash that I want to make it look like moldy and mildewy. I really love adding these washes. I feel like it makes the build just really pop. Everything comes together. While that dries, we'll go ahead and get started on some of the decorations for the actual deck itself. Just made some little hot glue balls here, and then I used some Mod Podge and paint, put it on a paper towel, and then just wrap those up with some string. And I came through with some Agrax Earthshade here, just to add a little bit of depth, and then kind of cover in the creases there. I used the metallic paint here on the cannons, and then a black on the inside, just so it looks like it goes a little bit further in than it actually does. waited a few hours for him to dry and go ahead and glue on the deck now. It's funny because I planned this whole thing out, and now that I'm watching back the edited footage, I'm just now realizing that I glued the deck on the wrong way. I wanted the little thing sticking out to be on the other side, and I really don't like that it's covering the head there. But we'll go ahead and glue on the decks, the stairs here, and then we're going to move on to the actual decorations, the rest of the decorations here. I bought some D&D sets online. This is a Navigator's pack. I really love these packs. I bought a bunch of them. I'm going to probably be using them in the rest of my builds going forward, at least most of them. Really love the character they add, and they're just so detailed and so cool looking. It's really fun hand painting these too. I'm just going to glue these on with a little PVA glue because I am going to be keeping these hand-painted D&D minis. They are kind of expensive, and I do put in a lot of time to painting these. I want to collect them up. Alright, this is the last little bit here. Just paint up these green storage chests. And we'll move on to gluing on these little bits of shrubs, some vines and stuff for decoration. And now just a little garden for him to chill and hang out while his golem destroys people with those big ass cannons.
Yeah.
Right about here, I'm realizing I probably should have hot glued this on. Took like 24 hours for this stuff to dry. But anyway, we'll move on to the next step. Here I'm just going to cut slits all the way across, a bunch of them, and then I'm going to do the same thing going up. Now I'll just use the back of my utility knife to scrape everything off. This gives a really nice rock texture, makes everything random, really comes out great. Now I want to sell the effect of him coming from this land, so I'm going to do the same rock technique here that I did on the actual golem, just so they're the same exact colors. So, something that bugged me with my last build was kind of how barren the actual landscape was, and then I just used that one layer of tile, so it was really flat too. This one's kind of flat as well. I did separate it with the cliff, but I wanted to make some more rocks here, so I'm gonna just do the same thing I did before. I stacked these up 4 high, hot glued them together, cut the slits, and then just used the back of my knife to get everything nice and uneven. We did the same painting technique that I did for everything else, and we'll just go ahead and see what the best placement here is, and we'll glue them in place. This next bit here, I really started getting excited. I feel like the build started coming together really nice. Just put down some watered down PVA glue, and then just some cheap flocking here I got from Michael's. After this, I'm going to come in with some isopropyl alcohol, soak everything down, and then I just sprayed it down with some watered down PVA glue. This took me a little while to figure out what I was going to use. I tried using the lure lock bottle at first for the glue. I realized I was going to take way too long. I tried pouring it after, definitely didn't work. The spray bottle worked alright, but it was really messy. I literally got glue everywhere. But now that that's dry, we'll go ahead and finish up with some bushes, some cool little flower plants, and some shrubs. know I've said this a million times, but this is one of my favorite parts too. I just used some vines that I bought off of Amazon and broke them up into little pieces and glued them on the ledge there. Came out really, really cool. Man, this build took me forever, but it feels nice to finally be finishing up. This is the main bit done. I'm going to go ahead and just paint the sides black here, and then we'll move on to the last step, painting the wizard. So I'm really new to miniature painting. This guy didn't come out quite as good as I wanted him to. I tried some new techniques and some different stuff on him, and some stuff did come out good, some stuff came out bad, but we'll definitely improve on them next time. I figured out some stuff that worked really well and some stuff that didn't work so well, so we'll be able to ditch the stuff that I didn't like, and we'll hold on to some of the techniques that I enjoyed using. Alright, and now the actual last step. We'll go ahead and place all the terrain down here for the beauty shots. Can't forget the keg of ye old Modelo here. And perfect. Now that everything's placed, I'll go ahead and quit yapping my trap and get into the beauty shots here. Well, time for my favorite part and some of y'all's least favorite part. Let's go ahead and bash this guy in. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and y'all have an amazing day.